It's another good week for Bedrock Edition news. We have a brand new beta 1.19.80.20 with a ton of new bug fixes, parity features that have been addressed, and a huge new feature called the Minecraft editor. This is a built-in, custom-made world editor built by Mojang specifically for Minecraft Bedrock Edition, and this thing has been in the works for a very long time. I'm so excited that it's finally here and we get to play with it. Before we hop into all the bugs and fixes, let's talk about the Minecraft updates. So this is beta 1.19.80.20, meaning that they're working on yet another update to the 1.19 update. And 1.19.70 is going to be releasing in the next couple of weeks. And then Minecraft 1.20 is probably releasing in the next couple or few months. Basically, whenever it's polished and ready, there's still quite a few tweaks, bug fixes, and changes that they're doing. They still have not announced a release date. Speaking of 1.20, a lot of the major features have been added to Bedrock Edition. So we have the cherry grove biome along with all the cherry woods, the decorated pots, and the sniffer has also been added to Minecraft Bedrock Edition. Because these are new features, they're basically identical between Java and Bedrock, so there really isn't much to say about them. I've already made a video on all these features previously. You can check that out if you're not up to date. Keep in mind that armor trim has not been added to Bedrock Edition yet. It's in the works though. It's probably going to be here in the next couple weeks. There has been a couple minor changes to the decorated pot, so the neck of these things has actually been changed. As you can see, it's got like a little bit of a lip to it right there, and this means that you can place a flower pot on top of it, and there's no more Z fighting, and it looks really nice, and you can put a flower in there. They've also been changed so that you can't put anything on the side of them, such as bells or hanging signs. And these things are also non-stackable. Even if they have an identical pattern, they are non-stackable. The crafting recipe for the brush has also changed, so now you need a stick on the bottom, a copper ingot, and a feather, and that'll give you a brush. By the way, if you haven't seen it, there's a little bit of a secret room inside of the desert temple now. You need to look for like the pile of sand in the corner, and this is where you can actually find suspicious sand. Along with desert wells, this is the only place to get this stuff. And then you just keep brushing it and you hold down the brush. Eventually you'll get an item out of it. The suspicious sand turns into regular sand, and you can keep on digging. Now for some reason, if you get a suspicious sand from the creative inventory, either on Bedrock or Java, these just do not produce any items. It really confused me in the last video that I made on this. But yeah, it's kind of silly. They should really fix that, because like, why? There's been a new experimental toggle added specifically for short sneaking, so it doesn't seem like they're quite ready to add this to 1.19 or maybe even 1.20, but it is still in the works. But as you can see in this preview, short sneaking is actually more broken. Like, I can see through the slabs now. The camera does not go down far enough. I don't know when we'll see this feature being added to Bedrock, but it's probably not going to be for a little while now. So typically the cherry blossom biomes are pretty tiny, but not this one. This one is huge. Maybe it's several different ones, but this is by far the biggest one I've ever seen. So there's been a new depth screen added to Bedrock Edition. As you can see, it looks quite different than before. It's got more of a vignette around the edges of the screen. It's darker, it's redder. I was hoping they would add a main menu button here, but apparently we're not quite there yet. We also don't have the score added. Java Edition has like a weird score system. I still don't know what it means. I've been playing this game for like 7 years. Can someone explain the score system? Either way, it doesn't exist on Bedrock Edition. So I got a question for you. Which one of these items on my hotbar is enchanted? They have changed the enchantment glint once again and reduced the, potency of it by half. And it is basically impossible to tell unless you're like really looking close. But the set on the left is enchanted, the set on the right is not. And then if we put this stuff on, it's still really hard to tell. Oh yeah, look at that. We actually changed our boots and our pants, and it's super hard to tell if you got enchanted armor or not. It is so subtle. But they've also added a new slider for this. So if you go down into your settings, it's in accessibility. So glint strength has been reduced from 100 to 50 by default. And you can actually turn that like all the way down. There's also a slider for glint speed. So if we turn this all the way up, then we will be able to see that we have quite a bit more glint. And this is what it should look like. So I guess it's good that there's a slider for it. So when it's at default settings and you're comparing them side by side, you can tell which one's enchanted. enchanted, but if it's just on its own, it's still quite difficult to tell which one's actually enchanted. And let's hop into the Bedrock editor, or the Minecraft editor. I guess it's got like 2 different names, but there's basically just like a little blurb about it in the changelog for today. It's a built-in world editor for Minecraft Bedrock Edition, currently only available with keyboard and mouse on Windows 10. So there is a lot of information about this. There is an editor overview on the Microsoft website, as you can see here, and then there's also a tutorial for it on the Microsoft website and a whole bunch of stuff about it there. And then there's a GitHub page for it where you can learn how to actually install this thing. Installing it is a little bit abnormal. You need to install the preview from the Minecraft launcher, which is on the Bedrock Edition page, and then you need to create a shortcut with a custom name and then click on that. So all those resources will be linked down below for you to check out, of course. Now, when you fire it up, there is no main menu. It puts you straight into your projects folder, and then if you go ahead and create a new project, it's going to give you the basic world creation screen with all the standard settings that you would typically expect to find. So if we go ahead and create a project, that's going to load us into the Minecraft editor. And then as soon as we get in here, there's just a lot of stuff to look at. There's just all this stuff. So as you can see, it gives you a little bit of an introduction of what this is, and then it gives you a little bit of a tutorial on, you know, moving around, selecting items, the tools that there are, the actions. So this is essentially similar to Amulet World Editor, or maybe even MC Edit if you're familiar with those programs. There's an undo and redo function. You can copy and paste. So there's 2 different modes to this. There's crosshair mode, which is just like, you know, standard creative, and you can just like fly around and do stuff. And then if you hit exit or escape, then you'll be put into this mode where you can then select things like this, and that is my brush tool. And as you can see, I just filled a whole bunch of stone. We're actually going to undo that real quick, which is really cool, and then we can redo it and undo it. It's great. But if we go ahead and right click on the screen, then we can actually look around, and then we can use, you know, space and shift and WAS to actually move around. So the left side of the screen over here has your brush, and you can also just Control B to bring up this little menu. Now your brush size will determine your selection area. You can make this be a hollow area, and then let's just go ahead and fill in this zone. So basically, we can just fill in this entire thing with stone. We're in spectator mode, so we can fly into anything that we want. And as you can see, it's actually set to hollow, so we can just have a nice hollow area filled in. This is actually quite nice. Amulet doesn't even have this, and this is going to make it so that you can create terrain incredibly easy. Now, of course, you don't just have the ability to use stone. You have basically any block in the game, and you can just like type in there. So let's get lava. Let's pop this up to brush size of 16, and let's just have some fun with this, shall we? And there we go. As you can see, it filled in all of that with lava. Now, that's hollow lava, so there's going to be quite a bit of flowingness happening there. So, of course, you can also use this to like delete things as well. So if we set this little brush mode to be air, we can go ahead and just select a very large area, and then all that stuff will be deleted, which is pretty cool, actually. And of course, you can just do like one at a time, so we can just click on any of these areas and remove a pretty large section of the world. This is basically a glorified griefing tool, and I am so here for it. Everything about this is fantastic. I love griefing. Hold up. We're gonna go ahead and just do a small little bundle of TNT. So let's see how well this thing really works, shall we? Let's just go ahead and place ourselves a piece of fire right there. And it doesn't seem like TNT actually explodes. Maybe it does. I'm hearing the noises. It's just not blowing up. Or maybe it's just really lagging out. It could just be really laggy. So that's the brush tool. That's like the fun way to paint terrain, but there's also just the free selection tool. So if you click on a block, and then it's gonna give you this like little, you know, tiny square down there. If you click on one of the corners of that, then it'll give you this thing where you can then drag it around and make this a much larger box. And this is how you can get into the copy and pasting. Now, the cool thing is this box is actually still there even in crosshair mode. So you can actually like fly around a little bit easier and just take a look at it. And then if we go back into editor mode, we can adjust the sizes of this thing so that we can more easily go ahead and fill in our entire area that we want to select. Now keep in mind, if you accidentally click somewhere, that's going to remove your entire selection zone, and there's no way to like undo it. And you can also pretty easily make your boxes a little bit way too long when you are dragging those things, because if you drag it off into the distance, then you might, you know, accidentally drag it way off into the distance like this. So now that we have our area selected, we can just go ahead and hit Control C, and that is going to copy our selection. And then if we go ahead and select another area just like down there and hit Control V, that's going to paste in our little, you know, house on the hill. It is limited by simulation distance, so it can't paste things outside of simulation distance. So like if we click all the way over there in the distance and hit Control V, then it's not really going to paste anything. But if we go ahead and select a place like right here next to us, then we can hit Control V on that, and bam, we got our entire house just like ready to go. We can also paste this multiple times in a row. As you can see, every time we click on something, it's going to show us the area required to actually paste it. And if we go back to crosshair mode, as you can see, we got all of our nice little houses. This is a very powerful tool. So I do have some critiques of this. I've used Amulet World Editor quite a lot, and that has a lot of very good things going for it, especially when it comes to creating the selection areas. So when you're using Amulet, you just select one of the sides of this little box, and then you can drag that anywhere you want, instead of having to go to one of these corners, click on that, and then drag it like that. It's just a little bit easier to use, and it's a little bit more user-friendly. So if you want to learn more about Amulet World Editor, then check out my video on how to copy-paste builds across worlds, and you'll see some of the pros and cons between this and Amulet. So of course, the Minecraft community has had like an entire decade to create amazing world edit tools for Minecraft, but this one is also quite good because it's like literally built into Minecraft itself. So I'm glad that Mojang is dipping their toes into the waters, and this is probably going to get a lot of upgrades over the coming years. And I guess the last thing to talk about is on the left side here, you got the paste menu, and this is how you get that little selection box for pasting your builds. Now on the paste screen, you can actually move around your paste selection area. So depending on where you place it down to begin with, these coordinates will change like how high up is in the world and where in general it is. You can also change the rotation of it, so turn it left and right, you can mirror it, so kind of similar to a structure block in that regard. There's also the undo function, and that allows you to, you know, remove all of your edits and then redo all of your edits, and it's kind of fun to see all that stuff just like pop into the horizon there. Now there's also all of these little quick actions you can do, and then there's also world options as well. I'm not sure what actors does, but you can also change your dimension, and you can change your daylight cycle, which is super handy. Another pet peeve of this is that your selection areas will despawn if you like leave the area. They don't stay there, they're not persistent, which is kind of annoying. There are some things you can do to fine tune, so if you highlight the gizmo and then hold Alt, then you can use your arrow keys to actually control the, you know, size of your selection area, which is rather nice. It also seems to work pretty quickly as well, so I selected this entire mountain from the top of it all the way down to Bedrock, and it copies it like really quickly, which is great. Now the real question is how reliable it is for big builds. Most likely you're not going to be using it for that big of builds, but things like entire world spawns, it's an important question to ask. So this mountain range, let's see how quickly it pastes this thing in. Well, I don't know if it's doing anything because I can't actually get back into the editor mode. For some reason, it's just not letting me do it. Yeah, no, nothing's letting me get back into editor mode, so I might have crashed it, or it's just being unresponsive. Either way, it doesn't seem like it really likes to paste mountain-sized objects, does it? So it didn't end up pasting anything or changing anything at all from what I can see, but it would be very nice if there was some sort of loading screen or animation to tell you that it's trying. That is a great thing about Amulet. It actually tells you when it's pasting something. Even if it takes a little while, it tells you what's happening. So for right now, this is pretty great for small scale things and intricate details that you want to do inside of actual Minecraft, but I still think that Amulet is going to be a better tool overall when it comes to pasting large scale things like across Minecraft worlds or things from Java to Bedrock. What are you guys doing? Oh my god. This is how you spawn in, isn't it? So moving over to the bug fixes, of which there are many. It was mentioned that you can no longer sneak while flying, but if I hit the shift button, then as you can see, I'm still like sneaking, I guess. So, I don't know if that's really a bug fix or not, but they tried. They fixed a bug where the health boost effect would give you more health when it ran out. So, as you can see, I'm at 5 hearts right now. As soon as that health boost effect runs out, I'm not going to gain any health. So, this is actually a great refinement for minigame servers, adventure maps, anything that would use that health boost effect. There's been a bug fix to the end dimension. Cave sounds will no longer play when you enter the end dimension or read log while in the end. I'm pretty sure they still can play, but they won't as soon as you enter or relog. Chorus fruit will now give you experience when it's smelted in a furnace. Not very much experience, but you know, a little bit, so that's helpful for any of you who have a bunch of furnace arrays. And for some reason, you can't smelt this stuff in a smoker, even though it's like a food item. What's up with that? I think it should smelt in a smoker, but then again, it gives you popped course, which isn't a food. I don't know, one of those weird edge cases. Nether portals are now able to replace certain blocks in the world, such as snow layers or even grass blocks. So previously, if you had a nether portal generate into a snowy biome, it wouldn't generate on the surface because of the snow layers. It would actually generate underground in a cave or something. So if you ever popped out in a cave, for some reason, this might be why. It might be because of these little teeny tiny snow layers. Campfires are now louder and their sounds are more clear, but they still do not light mobs on fire. There's been a small bug fix to the hopper that you probably never noticed, but there used to be a little gap in the texture right in between these two pieces, and you could see right through the hopper. There's also been a nice bug fix to the enchanted weapons that have like renamed and colored names. So now when you die to one, it's supposed to show up on the death screen, but as you can see, it definitely does not. And then it does actually show up in the chat there, so you can see that it says subscribe, because that's a thing. Actually, I misspelled it. Subscribe. I don't know what that is, but maybe you should try it out sometime. There's been a small bug fix to melons and pumpkins. They can now grow melons and pumpkins onto mud, muddy mangrove roots, rooted dirt, and podzol as well. So this just gives you more opportunity. Unfortunately, there's been a big nerf to boats in this update, so mobs now need to be smaller than the boat in order to actually fit into it. So polar bears and spiders and hoglins cannot fit into boats anymore, which is going to make transporting these guys a lot more difficult. And it doesn't seem like iron golems can get into boats either, sadly. And of course, gas can't get into boats either. Now, luckily, this change is only to boats. It does not affect minecarts because we legitimately need all of these minecart things to transport mobs. On the same note, polar bears and pandas have also had their sizes increased a little bit to match Java Edition, but polar bears can still enter boats no problem, even though they're pretty chunky. I mean, look at them. They're like just barely fitting in that boat. That's maximum capacity right there. And that's it for this Bedrock Edition beta. If you enjoyed today's video, then of course consider dropping a like, subscribe so that you don't miss future videos, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys down in the comments and in the next one. And then there was silence.